Last week I wrote about consistency and how this was a superpower that we could potentially all achieve, and how many of the most successful people in the world were successful because of their consistency rather than their innate natural abilities or talents. This week I'd like to look at how we can make being consistent easier and turn it into something we can do potentially for the rest of our lives. One of the keys identified to being consistent was that it takes self-discipline. There are ways to make this easier when starting out, but you'll still need a level of self-discipline if you want to be consistent. Is it easy? No. We are human creatures that generally are looking for comfort, and given a choice, most of us will take the easier path. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's pushed us to make clothes that keep us warm, houses to keep us dry, and a million other things that make our modern lives safer and more comfortable than our ancestors. However, we often know that while we don't want to do something, it would be good for us to do it, and that is where self-discipline to push ourselves comes in. For me, the classic example is going to the gym. A couple of years ago I bumped into an old friend and he was looking in great shape, and I questioned him about it, and he shared how he'd been going regularly to the gym. And when I went away from that, I thought, do you know what, I'd like to be in better shape. Maybe I should start exercising. So I made sure of a couple of things over the next month. Firstly, I made a point of making it to the gym at least twice a week. No excuses, no slacking, I was consistent with this. Secondly, I made sure that when I was at the gym, I worked as hard as I could and made the most of my time there. Now, nothing much happened for the first couple of months. It was really hard going to stick at it when I didn't really see much in the way of results. But after about 8 weeks or so, I started to look better and I'd started to feel better. And from then on, it was easier. Not easy, but easier to keep going, as I knew that it was having a positive effect. Does that mean it's a breeze to go to the gym now? No. But I've got into habit and it's just something that I do now. The main takeaway point here is that while we likely know that being consistent at something is a good idea and will produce the results we want, it is also important to know that it is hard to start with, but that it gets easier, not easier remember, with time. The reason for this is because it becomes a habit for us. We all have habits, things that we do regularly, often without even thinking about them. Of course, some habits are good and some are bad. There's been a fair amount of research about habit forming over the decades, and it was once thought that it took about 21 days of consistently doing something for it to become a habit. 30 days is another number that has been touted, but the most recent research seems to suggest it takes about 66 days to form a habit. Once something becomes a habit, it is much easier to do, as it is your new normal. You're used to doing it and your body automatically tends to do it, rather than having to work hard to consciously make it happen. This is the reward that being consistent brings. If you're consistent for long enough, it becomes a habit and it becomes easier. Again, notice I didn't say easy, I said easier. You still have to work at it, you still have to push yourself, but when something becomes a habit, it'll be something that is more straightforward and more natural for you. Breaking bad habits is the flip side of creating good habits. We need not just to create good habits, but we also need to break destructive habits in our lives. To achieve the first thing we need to do is identify the habits that are holding us back. We need to think about the things that we do we know that are bad for us, but we still do them, and then work to break that habit. Like forming a good habit, breaking a bad habit takes time. We have to consciously work hard not to do the thing that we know is bad. Of course, this is difficult at first and takes consistency and work, but as time goes on, if we keep at it, we find that doing the thing less that we don't want to do, we know we shouldn't do, will become easier. Eventually, we will keep challenging it and we break the habit. Now, just because we've broken the habit does not necessarily mean we won't go back to it. The pathways in our brain have previously been established, so the habit can be easier to get back to. Think about it like a well-worn path in your brain, but by breaking the habit, it's like you've placed a door in front of that path. If you leave the door, you won't go down the path, but if you open the door, the path is well-worn and it'll be easy to go down again. We therefore still need to resist the urge at points to open that door and to make sure we don't fall back into our old bad habit. Habits are really a key thing that make or break people over the long term. People that are able to break bad habits and create good habits do well. It becomes their character, who they are. Forming new habits takes time and it takes commitment to working at it over days and weeks. This means working at it when you feel like it, but more importantly, working at it when you don't feel like it. Remember, the prize is that it gets easier, not easy, but easier once the habit is created. Shoot for that prize, push through, and form strong, positive, lifetime habits. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below, and please also click the bell icon so you're notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks very much.